Bradley, how you doing? All right, I've got your work up, and I've also got the magazine ad up. If I could just remember what I did with it. Okay, hang on one second because there it is. Okay, let me get rid of one thing there. Okay, so I'm going to bring this down a little bit to fit it in the window, and then we'll take a look at this along with the banner ad, which I'll also get in the window, and we're just checking for consistency at this point. I mean, I think it's really easy to see. You've got a very, very high degree of consistency going on, so absolutely no worries there. One thing I'm noticing in your type is this. I think that this spacing is much more effective than this spacing. So we have a principle in graphic design called proximity, and basically it states that things that are close together have a natural relationship with one another. So that's why you always find subheads um, so closely placed with headlines, because there's a high degree of uh, shared meaning there, right? So they have a high degree of consistency. They belong together, basically, is what I'm saying. So proximity says that if things are close together, they have a close relationship. Conversely, if things are not close together and they're related closely, they should be placed close together. And the reason I bring that up is because I think this is much more effective. This is, I think, a little too far. I also think that this relationship is really, really super interesting, and it works for the banner. But right here, the subhead seems to be just a little bit small in comparison to the subhead, to the headline. I would recommend increasing the type size of the subhead by a point or two. Check it out, maybe by about 2 points, and then just bring that a little bit closer, and you should be good there. Um, Everything else looks fantastic. Now, at the bottom of the ad, you've got this really super heavy weight associated with this purple bar at the bottom, and I think that it's too weighty. I think it just really adds a lot of bottom weight. So the magazine ad is not proportional in terms of visual weight. I think you're really heavy on the bottom here. So what I would recommend is, boy, if you've got room in this image to move down here, to crop this down, that would be fantastic. Sorry about that. I don't know if you heard that or not, but my dog was squeaking this little toy. It was really super annoying. So sorry about that. At any rate, let's talk about the visual weight associated with the bottom of the page. And I think that purple bar is just really weighty. It's very, very heavy. Almost to the point where the eye just sinks right down there, and it's kind of hard to pull the eye back up. So I want to reduce the weight, the visual weight associated with the bottom of the magazine ad. For that, I would recommend either removing this. I didn't see the PSD. If I had the PSD, I would go ahead and try it. But um, either remove this and just use the image. Now, I don't know how much of this image you have available. I don't know what's down here underneath. But if you can, I would recommend trying to compose this with your type right over the image. Now, that could entail possibly using the purple logo for visibility, and also could entail taking this contact information and spanning across the top of the ad, both of which are fine. Now, if you do span the contact information across the top, you'll have to take this whole text block right here and move it down a little bit, which is fine, no problem at all. If you don't have enough image here, you could consider a recrop to add enough, so you're just composing right over composing your typography right over the image, as opposed to this black bar. If neither of those are an option, I would recommend reducing some of the visual weight here by selecting a lighter hue. Maybe something from here, sample some color out of here, maybe out of here, somewhere in the image, a very light color, and replace that. Preferably, we'll just remove that altogether, and as I said, recompose by using the purple logo in the corner, spanning the top contact information. These little weights, these little drop shadows on the masked images, you don't need those at all. I would go ahead and remove those. Okay, now I'm going to talk about this masked image in a second, but let's take a look at your banner ad. I think the banner ad looks fantastic. Really, really great work here. This is really sharp. Now, one thing I do want to mention is now in graphic design, you want to keep in mind that something should always align with something. Okay, so right now you're almost in alignment. I'm going to grab this and use it as a straight edge because I want to look at where your type starts And right now your type, actually you are in alignment with the E, so that's fantastic. Great job there. So back to this banner ad. My recommendations really are let me check one more thing. A little bit out of alignment. So basically what's happening here is that this looks like it's indented a little bit. And it's an optical illusion based on that little triangle there that's created between the left margin of type and the fact that that's an italic typeface. So that little triangle there creates an optical illusion, making the subhead look like it's indented a little bit. What you want to do in a situation like that is take that subhead, select it, and just click it over using your left arrow. Click it over a couple. Now, it doesn't matter that the bottom is going to exceed the margin line because it's going to accommodate for that optical illusion. So go ahead and do that. What you're shooting for is alignment in that margin right about there, that area right there of the D or so. Not all the way to the top, not all the way to the bottom, but somewhere in the upper 3/4. That'll take care of that illusion of the subhead being indented. I think the contact, the location is too large. You can really reduce the size of that. Okay, now this brings me to my final suggestion. Now this is a gorgeous ad, right? I think it's a really nice campaign and I truly believe it's portfolio worthy. What you do with the ad after the class is the way that you prepare your work for portfolio. That's up to you, right? In the learning outcomes and the objectives of the class, we have requirements that need to be included to show proficiency in the different tools and techniques associated with a project like this. That said, once the class is said and done, if you want to take these out, these masked images, go right ahead, because honestly, I think they don't fit with the ad. They really don't. And in a lot of cases, I think the requirement of the masked image in the ads fulfills the requirement of showing proficiency in masking and placing a masked image. That said, I don't think it always is the best decision for the final outcome of the campaign. Again, feel free to remove those once the class is done. Once you do so, if you want me to take a look at it once we're done with the class, I mean, not done with the class, but done submitting the final campaign in week 7. If you want to make those changes and run it by me, I'll be glad to make comments, but that's just certainly an option for you. Okay, so fantastic job. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. Good job, good edits, great campaign. Thank you very much.